FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Hey guys, Ed here at FICMRepair to talk about exhaust. And specifically exhaust when it deals with diesels, specifically exhaust when it deals with Powerstroke diesels, specifically exhaust that deals with Powerstroke 6.0 diesels. But exhaust. There's a lot of things to take into consideration with exhaust. One of the things to understand is that if you go ahead and take a look at, say, hey, why do I want to get bigger exhaust? It's more than just to look cool, right? The purpose of sizing exhaust differently, like a Powerstroke 6.0 comes stock with 3.5 inch exhaust. Now the issue is when you're at 3.5 inch exhaust, that's a restriction in your system. And so most guys see about a mile to the gallon just and only out of migrating to a 4-inch turbo back exhaust. And it's like, wow, that's crazy. 3.5 inch to 4 inch, that is a half of an inch makes all that difference. Guys, it's the formula we learned in school, right? It's pi r squared. So you take, the radius, 1.75 inches times 1.75 inches times pi, 3.14, and you end up with, with that answer. It's like 9.6. And then you go ahead and you say, okay, fine, if memory serves, maybe I'm wrong. But then you go ahead and you go ahead and you take the formula and you say, okay, what about 4 inch? So what's the radius of a 4-inch pipe? Well, it's 2 inches. 2 times 2 is 4 times 3.14 pi is like 12 and change, 12.56 and change. And so you find out that a 4-inch exhaust flows about 30% more air than stock. That's tremendous. And so life is good and thank Jesus and all the things. And so that is what you want to be doing here. You want to be saying, hey, how can I go ahead and increase the free-flowing nature of my exhaust? Now, a lot of people, they say, okay, fine, no worries, I'll go with 4-inch exhaust. And by the way, there's no reason other than looks to go with 5-inch exhaust unless you're like pushing more than 600 horsepower. There's just enough flow there, you're fine. So save your money on that. But regardless, the whole conversation to go up to 4-inch makes a whole lot of sense. Now, what you don't want to do is you don't want to go with a bigger downpipe than comes with your 4-inch exhaust kit because of the exhaust back pressures that you're going to get rid of. And you want some semblance of exhaust gas back pressures in order to have the turbo spin up as it's supposed to without having excessive back pressure or too little back pressure rather, and it basically just turns your truck into a laggy dog and you're like, what the heck did I just do to myself? Well, you increase the size of your downpipe. So it's the thing we learned in grade school, right? Bernoulli's principle is alive and well here. And so what we're talking about is we're talking about the fact that for a short distance, just for the downpipe distance, if that pipe is choked down a little bit, it'll give you back pressure, but the exhaust gases, the velocity of the air will just increase, and so you won't lose anything while going ahead and lowering your exhaust gas temperatures on average a couple hundred degrees by going from a 3.5 inch to a 4-inch exhaust, which is huge. So if you tow heavy and you're freaked out about it, and you know that cooler running diesels are happier running diesels, that's the reason to get a 4-inch exhaust. Perfect. Now you might want to couple this with an exhaust gas temperature probe, see our other videos talking about tuner comparisons, talk about the solutions that allow you to go ahead and have an exhaust gas temperature probe, or even a standalone probe if that's what you want to do. We'll sell you a pyrometer that's a standalone pyrometer. And take care of you that way. But you don't want to exceed 1500 degrees Fahrenheit, not ever. You don't want to sustain more than 1200 degrees for more than a minute or so if you want to keep everything fat, dumb, and happy in motorland. And if you don't, we sell engines, but I'd rather not have to sell you one, so please don't make me. But what I would tell you is, okay, so 4-inch exhaust makes a whole lot of sense for a whole lot of folks. It's a bolt-in type deal. By the way, the installation of this, if you get a turbo back, the installation of this, you're going to need to make sure that the truck is jacked up so that the bottom of the tires are at least 24 inches off the ground if you don't want to have to cut your downpipe with a Sawzall. If you're perfectly okay with that, no worries. A lot of these kits come with two-piece down pipes. You can cut the old one out and put a new one in and fine. But if you want to avoid that, the bottom of the truck has to be 24 inches off the ground, and that gives you enough clearance to get the silly thing up out of there. So keep that in the back of your head as well, okay? Now, other considerations. So one of them is downpipe size. Please don't jack with that, right? Otherwise you'll lose performance as we discussed. The other thing is, what about exhaust types? What's it made out of? Do you want stainless? It's more expensive, but it won't rust out. So if you live in a salt belt type climate, just recognize that aluminized exhaust is going to rust out in a year or two, and there goes all your money. As far as the actual installation of this goes, no, you don't need a shop. You can do it yourself in your driveway. We sell a ton of exhaust and fine, and just basic hand tools is all you need. Use the factory hangers and no harm, no foul, and they can come out, you know, in off to the side or the back, duals, whatever you want. We totally got you. But now the consideration becomes, okay, fine. So stainless, probably T409 stainless. All the brands basically have the same number of layers of stainless. They all are guaranteed against rust out, where they rust all the way through. So you don't have to worry too much about that either. Pretty slick. Now the conversation says, okay, fine. Do I want to spend the money on stainless? Do I, can I save the cash because I live in South Texas and we don't even know what snow is because we're smarter than those guys in the Midwest? Perfect. So you can go ahead and do that. Perfect, no problem at all. Life is truly wonderful. And about a couple hours of your life is all. It's really just not that big of a deal. But what you really want to do is to think about, hey, what do I want to do here with this? Do you want it straight pipe? Do you not want it straight pipe? If you get a what these manufacturers call a muffler, it does do an unbelievably effective job at reducing the number of decibels of your system, so you're not ticking off the people in your subdivision, kind of thing. Near as bad, at least. It's still noisier than the stock, but it's not horrible. And by the way, you're getting rid of the factory's muffler, which is the source of the vast majority of this restriction anyway, because it's an offset design. The air actually comes and it doesn't come straight through. It does this little hook. And so that is the reason why it is such a restriction. It's also the reason why it muffles so well. But if the point is let things breathe a little bit, get rid of the muffler, life's a lot better. A very common misconception, by the way, is, hey, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to gut my cat, or I'm going to get rid of my cat, and life is going to be better for me that way. Really, the catalytic converter is not the restrictor that you think it is. It's the freaking muffler, and it's the design, the actual diameter of the pipe. So if you don't want to get yourself in trouble with the EPA and you want to do the right thing for the environment, just anyway, keep the catalytic converter. I know I'm going to get flamed in the comments. Go ahead, put your thoughts down there. I'm totally cool with it. I'm not a snowflake, but I'm just here to tell you that the catalytic converter is not the restrictor that you think it is. So getting rid of the muffler, absolutely. Moving to a resonator, yes. That is absolutely and totally what you want to do. But at any rate, that is the story there. Now, as far as the larger conversation now to say, okay, what do I want this thing to sound like? You've got a conversation here about exhaust notes. Do you want it mellow? If you want it mellow, take a look at MagnaFlow. Take a look at MBRP. We sell a ton of MBRP exhaust. If you're like, nah, I want a little edgier, a little more not mellow, a little raspier, that's more of an AFE type sound. And so you decide. We sell all the brands, right? So AFE, MagnaFlow, FlowPro, Diamond Eye, whatever, and we can help navigate those waters for you. So that's a personal preference thing. There's no performance difference. They're all mandrel bent. Any exhaust that you get, you want to be mandrel bent. What that means is that when the bend comes, it's maintaining a consistent diameter through the bend. They're not actually crushing the pipe to make it skinnier as it bends, which is going to obviously add a choke point. So you don't want to do that. If it's not mandrel bent, you're not interested. And a lot of these kits, well, pretty much all of the kits that are out there are mandrel bent exhausts. You don't have to worry about that. But by the time that you spend the money to go ahead and have a custom exhaust shop bend you up some exhaust, it would have been cheaper to buy the kit, very frankly. So it's totally up to you. Now, the duals versus not duals doesn't really make a difference. It's just look. And so it's what makes your boat float, right? You pick. The only thing that I would tell you that does not get the face time that it really deserves is exhaust tips. Exhaust tips are more than just pretty. They do absolutely serve a purpose. The purpose is to prevent you from sitting up your quarter panel. So what you do is you go ahead and you slide your exhaust tip on. They're adjustable as far as how far in or how far out they are. And so what you do is you go ahead and you say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to look at the outer edge of my tire, and I'm going to have my exhaust tip end like 1 inch in from the tire. And that way, when you brush up against the curb or whatever, when you're parking your truck, you're not going to rip out your exhaust. So just 1 inch in, problem solved. Nice little tip and trick on the installation there. Outside of that, we sell all the options for exhaust. I think you'll be very, very happy if you went that route. Today's diesel prices, it will pay for itself. It's just a matter of freaking time. And then if you want more cooling outside of that, we can talk about the rest of the conversation, because certainly all these things are greater than the individual. So if you add ported exhaust manifolds, you have a ported intake manifold, you add a oversized intercooler, you add a stage 2 turbo, you add free or flowing cold air intake. All these things help, but it begins with exhaust. So I hope that clears up some confusion in the world of exhaust. Give us a shout if we can help you. We are FICMRepair.com. We sell way more than just FICMs, quite obviously, and stay tuned for a surprise on that here coming in the next few months. We're going to be doing some pretty serious changes, so we're so stoked about that. Finally, at any rate. So thanks very much. Like and subscribe if you haven't yet subscribed. What are you doing? We put out this content and it just takes time, and we do appreciate you. If this has been a blessing to you and you want to give back a little bit, tell your friends, right? Even if they have a Duramax or a Cummins, we'll harass them some, but we'll still take good care of them. We sell everything possible for these vehicles. We rep for about everybody. So we're kind of a one-stop shop in all things diesel pick-em-up trucks, and excursions too. And so we can hook you up. If you'd like to give back another way, there is a little tip jar option in the comments below. Feel free to give us a penny if you're pissed off with us, or throw a couple bucks our way. We'll go have lunch on you or something. But yeah, the goal is just to help you, never to sell you, just to tell you. So I hope this was of help to you. And if you have comments, ideas, thoughts on what other videos should be that you want to see, please holler at us and we will make it happen. All right? FICMRepair.com. We're all in this together. Take care, guys. We'll see you. Bye-bye.